You are your own worst critic. But when you criticize yourself, what does your inner voice sound like? Does it remind you of anyone? Hey guys, it's Ina. Before we start this video, I just want to mention that I'm teaching on Preply right now. So if you want to chat with me and become a regular student, now's the time before I give up. More details are on my profile. The old saying goes, you are your own worst critic. It is very true that most of us are very hard on ourselves, particularly if we get even the slightest hint that we don't meet some societal expectations in our achievement, wealth, social status, relationship, appearance, the list goes on. We berate ourselves when we make even the smallest mistake. People seem to find it hard, and for some almost impossible, to treat or speak to themselves in a kind or caring manner. Some back down from the idea of it, like they're asked to do something painful or repulsive. Being able to cultivate self-compassion might be a standalone approach that addresses all your mental health problems, or it might be a good starting point to then go ahead and address other specific ones. Either way, if you identify with being your own harshest critic, then join me on this journey to go from self-criticism to self-compassion. Today, we'll dive deeper into the difficulties of this objective. Self-criticism. For most people, self-compassion doesn't come naturally, but the opposite of self-compassion, self-criticism, seems to easily roll off the tongue. Self-criticism is a thinking style that involves our internal self-talk being highly negative, disparaging, and berating. The content of self-critical thoughts can be very cruel and the tone very cold, harsh, and attacking. It is like we're telling ourselves off in the most unkind and punishing way. This thinking style occurs to us all in varying degrees and is very common in society. Some harsh self-critics may experience a sense of self-loathing, self-hatred, and self-disgust, where they believe that they don't deserve to treat themselves any better. Some common examples of self-critical statements might sound something like, I am an idiot. What a moron. You are useless and pathetic. I'm so hopeless. You shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? You should have known better. I never get it right. You may as well give up now. There's no point. Why bother? You will notice that some self-critics refer to themselves in the first person, I am, while others may refer to themselves using a second-person perspective, you are. You will also notice that self-criticism often involves the following unhelpful thinking styles. Labeling, making global and derogatory statements about ourselves on the basis of our behavior in a specific situation. Shoulding, using should statements to put unreasonable demands or pressure on ourselves, and overgeneralizing, taking one negative instance and concluding that this applies to everything. To gain more awareness of your self-critical thinking style, consider the following 5 questions. 1. What do you typically criticize yourself for? For me, I usually criticize myself for not being successful or extroverted enough. Sometimes I feel superior to others for my strengths, but other times I feel like all my friends are better than me in every single aspect in life. I also talk myself down for not being able to fit into circles that I don't even belong to and retain friendships with people who I probably don't even want to talk to that much. I'm also disappointed in myself because despite the hard work, I have a lack of opportunities to earn money and just opportunities in general. It's the things that I can't control, but blame myself for them regardless. 2. What sort of things do you typically say to yourself or about yourself? For me, there are things like, you can never be like them, they're better than you can never be friends with them, you can never fit in. I try to avoid negative career talk because I still have more faith in that. 3. When you criticize yourself, what does your inner voice sound like? Does it remind you of anyone? When I first wrote this, I was like, well, they just sound like me. No particular influences. Why can't I just be the source of my self-criticism? But then on the same day, I had a quarrel with a family member and I was being told very harsh things. And I realized, oh, it sounds like them. 4. When you criticize yourself, how does it make you feel? Sad, obviously, stuck, angry, and frustrated. But at the same time, I also feel very safe because it's a very familiar feeling and it's my protective mechanism. Surprise. 5. What do you think the negative consequences are of speaking to yourself like this? For me, I think there's a risk that what I say about myself will be internalized and manifested to be true. Law of attraction or some shit, I don't know. And obviously bad mental health and negative emotions. And it's true, self-criticism usually leads to feelings like anxiety, sadness, depression, guilt, shame, or anger. Self-criticism is common across lots of mental health problems and can contribute to staying stuck in these problems. Why is it so hard to be self-compassionate? So if self-criticism only leads to more misery, then surely self-compassion is the only answer. But it isn't that simple. Most people struggle to be more self-compassionate to themselves. So if this applies to you, please know that you're not alone and there are a number of reasons for this. Early life experiences. It is proposed that for some people, experiencing limited care, kindness, and nurturing from others growing up leads to the soothe system being underdeveloped. The soothe system thrives on and is stimulated by having compassionate experiences. Essentially, it is hard to learn something that you were never taught. So if you didn't receive much compassion from others in earlier life, it is understandable that it is more difficult to develop the ability to be compassionate to yourself later in life. The threat system. Our brain is hardwired to shift into threat mode pretty easily to protect ourselves. Seeing the negative is our default attention bias. Turning our attention to more self-compassionate endeavors is therefore overriding this attention bias, which is not something that comes naturally to us. Lack of awareness. Many of us may not be aware that we're struggling or aware of the unhelpful, critical ways we may be treating ourselves. We can go through life on autopilot doing what we have always done. We get tangled and stuck in our struggle, never pausing to consciously recognize we're struggling and that maybe we could deal with this in the same way we might help others deal with something similar. It has just never even occurred to us that treating ourselves kindly is an option. Negative beliefs about self-compassion. Some of us may cringe at the idea of self-compassion. Being self-compassionate is not something we're taught about or talk about a lot, so it can carry some negative connotations. Some people think being self-compassionate is too touchy-feely and will lead to laziness, self-indulgence, or self-pity. Do you need to build more self-compassion? To help you decide whether you need to be more self-compassionate to yourself, have a look at this checklist. The more items you tick, the more self-critical you're likely to be, indicating that you could benefit from an injection of self-compassion, in which case, stay tuned for my future videos. Alright, I hope this has been helpful. Reach out to me on Preply if you're interested. Take care of yourself, have a great day. Bye bye.